Well, it's not quite as punchy as signing Cody Bellinger or Aaron Nola or Josh Hader or something like that, but probably just as, if not more important, the Rays have extended and locked up one Kevin Cash and Erik Neander.
This is probably the most monumental extension that you could have done in 2024. So let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays and email us anytime for those mailbag questions. Spring training is almost afoot. LockedOnRays@gmail.com. And that seemed to be a priority for Rays brass and ownership of, before we get into the throes of spring training in the regular season, let's take care of our own. Let's take care of our home. Let's extend in comfort Erik Neander and Kevin Cash, the dynamic duo. So we don't have to deal with that mess when games are being played and there's a lot of moving parts. And that's exactly what the Rays did. And I know some of the particulars aren't yet readily available or accessible, but it appears that both Cash and Neander will be with the organization well into whenever the new stadium opens up in 2028 or so.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they will be the faces of the new park. Not the franchise, not the face of the franchise.
Yeah, we should never have executives, coaches, managers, owners as faces of the franchise. We should reserve that for players, but the Rays do things a little bit differently. So as close to a face of the franchise as a manager and executive could be, Neander and Cash could probably fit that mold.
The manager and the front office have their guys for the new park. That's what we know. And, you know, we did talk about this. What was it, like maybe 2 weeks ago about the Kevin Cash extensions?
We got a mailbag question about it. How much of a priority is it for the Rays to lock him up? Well, we saw it. I had, penciled in, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 9, that they do something with him, and alas, here it is.
I'm going to be very interested in the amounts, because now we know what Craig Counsell commanded in the open market, $8 million. I think we all could agree that what Kevin Cash has done is more impressive than what Craig Counsell has done, not only because better results, but definitely a smaller payroll and also a harder division. So it's, there's no Yankees and Red Sox in that division. And then you have a Toronto Blue Jays team that wants to spend money now. And then now you have an Orioles team that has tanked for so long that all of their picks somehow became amazing players. So like, it's a very different situation in the AL East and the NL Central. So if Craig Counsell is able to command $8 million, the question was, at least for me, it was like, okay, what does Kevin Cash want? Because Kevin Cash could ask for anything in the world right now. And, you did appeal to he's from Tampa. He's comfortable here. He might take that family discount, friends and family discount from the Tampa Bay Rays and say, you know what, I'll stay for X.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested about Kevin and what we could have some fun here is let's go back to 8th grade math class and say, find X. What is Kevin Cash being paid for right now?
See, and that's the thing. I personally do not think that the Rays will reveal those numbers. It might actually have to take some sleuthing and some deep diving by, Jeff Passan and Bob Nightingale and Mark Topkin in all those. But I don't think, while I believe he deserves as much or more than Craig Counsell, I think it very much is a hometown discount type of deal, but still a nice pay increase than what he had previously. Like if I had to ballpark it, I would say probably around $4 to $5 million a year.
I don't think that's a bad one because there's two numbers I want people to know. So he was averaging in his last deal 1.6.
Okay.
So I think we can all start with the baseline of at least double that. So he's at least at 3.2, and then knowing that Terry Francona was the highest paid manager last year in 2023 at 4.5.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like around 4 to 5 mil.
Yeah.
4 to 5
And who
mil.
knows, maybe there's some creative elements within the deal of a portion of merchandise. So who knows what's in his deal specifically, but I would just suffice to say that he was probably pretty well taken care of, because if he was on the open market, he could more or less command whatever he wants. So it's good from that point of view for sure. We have a lot more to discuss on this, Ulises, but first we have to tell the audience about something very important.
That is, after the holidays, we could use a little bit of extra cash. Maybe the Rays needed a little bit of extra cash, but they had to extend Kevin and Erik. So, you give so many gifts and we still buy everyday things, and you got to make sure you're getting cash back on all of your everyday purchases. And you can do that with Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from grocery to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $145 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, buy that flight you've been eyeing, the game that you're dying to go to, or the fancy dinner that you've been craving. So right now, Ibotta is offering listeners of Locked On Rays $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. So go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDON That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB.
Hey, maybe that's why the Rays have not spent a lot of money this offseason and dipped off a lot of their existing payroll, i.e. trading Tyler Glass. Now, maybe they were utilizing those funds to lock up Erik Neander and Kevin Cash, respectively. We'll have to see. But as you mentioned, monumental stuff. We can talk about the 5 straight postseason appearances, more wins than all but 3 teams in baseball, doing it in the battle-heavy AL East with a minuscule payroll and tons of turnover. Like what they do is yeoman's work for sure. And I think so much of this is, you have a bench coach leave, you have a third base coach leave, you have a top front office executive leave. At the end of the day, the Rays can stomach that as long as Kevin Cash and Erik Neander are the figureheads at the top. I think that's what we're starting to learn. So Peter Bendick's gone. Okay, we can deal with that. Matt Arnold gone. We can deal with that. Chaim Bloom gone. We can deal with that. Matt Cotrero gone. We can deal with that. And I think so much of what makes this work is that Kevin Cash and Erik Neander work well together, get along, understand each other, because we've heard about it in other front offices, other organizations, that there is some butting of heads between front office analytics type and the the old school coaches, the guys on the field versus the guys in the C-suite. And I think that they have a strong enough relationship and respect for each other that really, and this is huge kudos to Erik Neander, him and his staff are able to connect with players on their newfound ideas and philosophies. And I think that really goes a long way. So there's not that disconnect between both sides, if you will.
There is no disconnect because, as you heard Glass now say after he got traded, he went and had a beer with Erik Neander. So like it's like an open door policy. I think you touch on something very important: the personalities of both Kevin Cash and Erik Neander. Not only that they like each other and they seem to work well with each other, but when you have 26 dudes in a room, it's going to be a lot of egos and why me. So there has to be some sense of recognizing all of you and treating them the same, but knowing the particulars of what makes each individual, themselves. Right. And so it's a very thin line to walk, and they seem to be doing that. And you talk about the disconnect between, the C-suite and the dugout. It seems like they're on the same page, or if they're not, they're very clever on uncovering that up, because it does seem like they're on the same page. And the last thing I'd like to say with this is, with the relationship, the human aspect of it, it might be that Stu Sternberg has been incredibly lucky to find two people that are not only good at their jobs in what they do. He lets them do their job and hands off. But they also, in Kevin and Erik, they are not looking forward to, well, I could be in this huge market and make this much money. Like, they have the role that they want. Like, Kevin Cash wanted to be a manager. He is a manager. Erik Neander wanted to be president of baseball operations, general manager. He is that. Like, there is no need for them to be like, well, what would it be like to have a $200 million payroll, and like a Heim Bloom situation? Like, they're like, no, I am fine where I am. I am in my role. I am comfortable in my role. I'm not going to go in and get paid a way more a la Pujols, go into the Angels instead of taking a little bit of a pay cut, stay in St. Louis, become an earthly hero, and live the rest of my days. Like, that's maybe something that Stu found here with Kevin and Erik. They're okay. They're comfortable in Tampa Bay, and they don't need to be looking elsewhere.
Is that a shot at Andrew Friedman and Joe Maddon?
Maybe, perhaps.
Seeking greener pastures in Chicago and LA, respectively?
Well, with Joe, we have talked about this, and don't get ahead of my my third segment. With Joe, we have talked about the sentiment of his voice growing stale in the locker room, right? The whole snakes in the locker room, the salsa, band, and all of this stuff, like
dress up, get ups. Yeah,
it's enough after like 8 years. Like, people are like, okay, dude.
But
come on,
but again, credit to him for, and this might have to be a conversation or an episode at another point, is name a better duo: Andrew Friedman / Joe Maddon, Kevin Cash / Erik Neander. But I will say, for Friedman and Joe Maddon, and the resume speaks for itself, of course, but being that first change agent and getting the Rays out of that vortex of suck, because that is a difficult thing to do. At least when Cash and Neander took over. I know that they had some losing seasons, but at least the organization understood and felt what it meant to be a winning ball club. Whereas the franchise before Friedman and Maddon didn't know what that meant, or didn't know how to get there, and they led them to the right path.
Kevin, they would win 12 straight games, and then they would lose 12 straight in the same season. Like, that's like, even when they could do something amazing, then something horrible would happen. So definitely being the change agent definitely gives you a bump up. But the growing stale in the locker room, that's for everybody. That happens to all of us, and in baseball and football, whatever, it happens. So it's a little bit different now. It'll be very interesting to see what will happen in the next 3-4 years. Like, let's say in 2028, like, let's get out of Tropicana. We're in the new stadium.
Yeah.
Kevin Cash will have been the manager for more than a decade, plus almost a decade and a half. Erik Neander will have been in his position for basically almost the same amount of time. will we notice some staleness, or will they be able to still kind of produce and be liked amongst the team? Like it's a very difficult thing to keep that bar really high, because they've set the bar really high. Like I hope they do, but it's just going to be really difficult.
Right. And luckily for them, they are young for their age in their roles. I think Neander's 40, 41, and
Something like
Kevin
that.
Cash in his late 40s. I know that the industry is going towards younger managers, coaches, that sort of thing, but I still think they have a youthful growth mindset as well with all that. And credit, I know we've kind of bounced around between Kevin Cash and Erik Neander, but I'll say this for Erik Neander. He has not had an easy job by any means with being the guy that says, yeah, we got to trade Evan Longoria. Yeah, we got to trade Blake Snell. And being able to do that without having that label attached to him like Chaim Bloom. I think when you mention Chaim Bloom in Boston, oh, he's the guy that traded David Price and Mookie Betts. Whereas with Neander, there's not quite that stick. And I think some of it helps that he goes out and makes the wonderful, unbelievable maneuvers of acquiring Randy Rosarena and getting the Pirates coup back in the day, and even other moves like Travis d'Arnaud, or like this past week, signing Phil Maton, who may, by the time that 2024 is wrapped up, will be one of the best relievers in all of baseball. It could work out that way.
What is your favorite Erik Neander move?
Favorite Erik Neander move. There's so many. I would have to I'd have to look back in the archives. I mean, I would say the one that
you can give me either. Okay, how about this? You can frame it as one of your favorites, or one of the ones that has produced the most in your eyes, like something like that. You can give me whatever angle you want.
I would say, and I would have to research it a little bit, but the one that I continue to reference and go back to is the Pirates deal, where he traded Chris Archer and got back Glasnow, Meadows, and Shane Baz. And that just creates a tree of its own, where you trade Tyler Glasnow, look what you get back. You trade Austin Meadows, look what you get back. Hello, Isaac Paredes. And then we'll wait and see what Shane Baz does in 2024 and beyond. But there are so many deals, small and large. And we should also note that mistakes have been made along the way as well, but there's been a lot more hits than misses.
A lot more hits. So okay, let's do 1-on-1. So you did the best move, which is a really good one. That's probably one of the best moves ever. I mean, trading Chris Archer and making it so that you have, for the 2024 roster, a Shane Baz, Ryan Pepio, Johnny DeLuca, and Isaac Paredes. Damn.
Right.
that's like a really good move. It's a really good move.
And then you go back and, not that he did much, but you go back and sign Chris Archer or add Chris Archer to the organization.
Right.
Like that's a total FU. But I also like, and not to steal your thunder away, I also like, and I think what these extensions do is it allows them to be comfortable in their skin, try new things without the fear of failure. So even while we poo-poo and crap on, oh my gosh, Setsugo didn't do anything, but I still like the risk. You have to take risk, and you have to learn from those, both success and failure. So I would do it all over again just to see, it at the end of the day, it was $12 million. Like, I know for the Rays, it's a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, you've got to take chances when you're the Rays. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I honestly, that's a place where there's just so much love for baseball. Like, you have to get Japanese players, like Uwasawa, tremendous move. Like, if I were the Rays, like, I would just be, scoping Japan out for more players, for more opportunities like this. Like, there are so many players that you don't know just because they're far away, dude. Like, I don't know if I've told you this, but one of the things I was walking around, I think it was in Kyoto, and I was just walking around, and I saw a baseball field, and it was like a school baseball practice. And so I stayed there for like an hour watching them play. And it was so cool, like the way that they did the drills and they were all playing it. Like, dude, it's just, that's a national sport right there. Like, you have to be able to like target it and get as much eyes on that as possible. So yeah, I agree with you. I do have your reverse, the other side of the coin of a best move, but I think you have to tell me something first.
Yeah, we have to tell the audience something very important, and that is this. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. FanDuel has so many incredible ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. So new customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League.
You know what? We've had such a happy episode today. I'm not going to do the worst move. I'm going to save it.
Okay, save it. We could save it for next week. We can do a podium of sorts of best and worst moves from Kevin Cash and Erik Neander, respectively.
I think
and
you
should throw it up in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, and then you can leave your YouTube chats on what it has been. That's perfect. What has been the best move you've seen Neander do, and what has been the move that you're like, why this didn't really work at all? This kind of sucked. So leave that in the comments, and then we can create an episode surrounding that. But guess what, Kevin? It's time to take a smooth drive.
Oh, I thought you were going to give your best move, but you're going to save that.
I'm going to save that.
I like it. Okay.
Let's take a drive.
We'll have to make sure we pencil that in for next week. There's a lot of them, and I'm going to have to go and research them as well, large and small. We know about the blockbusters, but there's some sneaky moves as well that have made a big difference in the organization. And that's the other thing too. Not to go too much down the line and on a tangent here, but being able to, and it's Neander to Cash and vice versa, is when you make a trade like exiting from Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Evan Longoria, being able to get the clubhouse in line and make them understand why the deal was made, because there's probably a lot of sour attitudes or sour thoughts in that room when you're thinking, oh man, we just traded our Cy Young, our best player, our franchise player. What do we do now? So,
and they're doing that successfully if a guy that gets traded immediately goes to that guy who traded him and has a beer. Like, the open door policy, the transparency is apparently very there. It's there.
Yeah,
it's just seemingly
for sure. So, all right, we will again, happy thoughts for Erik Neander and Kevin Cash, but we have, it being a Friday baseball trivia, Name That War. Ulises, what do you have in the realm of baseball trivia?
Baseball trivia. I have 4 questions for you, Kevin. It's a little bit of a different type of trivia today.
Okay.
4 questions. We're talking extensions. I got to thinking about all the managers that the Rays have had. So my first question is, Kevin, how many Rays managers have there been?
Let's see. There's been Madden, Cash, Piniella, Hal McRae. I think I'm missing one. Madden, Cash, Piniella, McRae. I almost want to say like Larry Rothschild. I'll say 5. I think I'm missing a guy.
5 is correct. Very good. My second question was, can you name them all? And you kind of have. So is there a possibility that you can do it in order?
In order from the first manager to the most recent?
Yes.
Okay. The first manager would have been, Larry Rothschild.
Correct.
Second, Hal McRae.
Correct.
Third, Lou Piniella.
Yep.
Fourth, Madden. Fifth, Cash.
Very nicely done.
I like it.
Third question, 3 out of 4. Who has a better winning percentage being a Rays manager?
Oh, out of all 5 of them?
Yes.
Or okay. I would say Kevin Cash has the best. Or wait, in totality of like, are we including Lou Piniella's service with the Mariners and so forth?
No. Just as a Rays manager. As a
Rays manager, I would
who
have
has
to say
been-
Kevin Cash.
And he would be correct at 545 winning percentage. And who has the most wins? That's my last question. Who has the most wins as a Rays manager?
Who has the most wins as a Rays manager? I almost want to say Kevin Cash, but I'll say Joe Madden.
And you are correct. Joe Madden
Oof.
is the winningest Rays manager, as Kevin Cash is right behind him and hopefully should pass him this year. Kevin Cash has 739 wins, while Joe Madden has 754. Let's remember, Kevin Cash had that abbreviated 60-game season in 2020, or else I think he would have passed him by now.
I like it. Very good. Great trivia question. Now we have Name That War. And with all this talk about Kevin Cash and Erik Neander, I was thinking about not 2019, but 2018, where it was, if I recall, the first winning season for Kevin Cash with the Rays, where that team went 90-72. So I am picking a player from that roster for Name That War today.
Okay.
And that player is Carlos Gomez.
Oh, that's a great one. It's a great one. Carlos Gomez. That 2018 team was such a college baseball feel. It was so cool. That was a really enjoyable squad to watch. That was the birth of Joey Wendell, people.
That was the birth of Matt Duffy. He led the team in plate appearances. 4 homers, by the way.
Look at that. 2018, Matt Duffy. That's the first year without Evan Longoria. And, you know, there was some people that in Rays Nation was going like, oh, this is it. We found our third baseman of the future. It's Matt Duffy. It was not to be. Not quite.
Matt Duffy, I think, is still in the league. He's still kicking around.
He is. I think he was with the Angels, I want to say, for a bit.
He played with the Angels in 2022 and was with the Royals in 23. Played 78 games. So he is still, he's almost to getting a pension, 8 years in the league.
Look at that. Good for you, bud.
His cat weighed more than he did.
Yes, it did. I think it passed.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very heavy cat.
It was a very heavy cat. Yeah, cats can't be that heavy and just survive.
No, they can't be 50 pounds. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Carlos Gomez. So, Brewers legend, Rays legend. I'm thinking Carlos Gomez was around 13 seasons when he was with the Rays. I'm pretty sure that was his last season as a ball player in 2018. So let's say he had like 13 seasons. For a time, he was really, really good. Like, he was really good. I would say he was like around, he definitely had like 3 to 4 WAR seasons for sure. There's no way he didn't. But I'm going to say like that was a peak of like 3 seasons like that. So that's like 12 WAR. And then you put like 10 seasons of being a 1 WAR player. That's 23. But I think maybe the defense fell off a little bit as he got older. The bat wasn't there as much when he got older. So let's go with a knockoff 23 to like 17. 17 WAR.
Okay. Carlos Gomez played 13 years in the league.
Yes.
He was a 2-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner. Over his career, he hit 145 homers, 236 doubles, had 268 stolen bases, a career line of 252 batting average, 313 on base, and 724 OPS. And by the way, he played one season with the Rays. That was in 2018 at 32 years old. His career WAR is 24.3.
I was right the first time at 23.
Yeah.
Damn.
And he had a couple 2030, 2040 seasons, 20 homers, 30, 40 stolen bases.
His peak was like, I'm sure like at his peak, people were talking about him as a top 10 player in the league. It was a short peak, but it was there.
Question. Who will have a higher career WAR when it's all said and done? Carlos Gomez or Randy Arozarena?
That's a really good question. I think, unfortunately, the youth of Carlos is going to help him here. Randy just started a bit too late, man.
True.
Randy started a little bit too late. 23. I mean, if Randy's able to pull off 23, that'd be really impressive. Quick name that WAR while you're searching this. Randy Arozarena. I'm going to go with 3 WAR, 21, 3 WAR, 3 WAR. That's 9 WAR. 1, 10. I'm going to go that Randy has around 11 WAR right now.
Yeah, you're basically right on the money, 11.4.
11. Okay, cool.
So if he's able to do, I think he could get there.
I
don't think he's going to get much above Carlos Gomez. I mean, I would shoot between, 25 to 28. He would more or less have to do what he's done right now 3 or 4 more times, or 3 more times, and then a couple of so-so seasons after that.
Yeah, and he can do that. I think he can. Actually, you know what? If you give me green Skittles, I would put him on that Randy Arozarena will have a higher career WAR than Carlos.
But I will say, I don't know if it's worth what his name recognition and what Scott Boras is going to command for him. I don't think the juice will be worth the squeeze when it's all said and done. I mean, who's to say what happens there by the time he's a free agent in 2027? But
if you're able to market Randy Arozarena the right way and put his face everywhere, like the Rays should, and the Rays are trying to, I think.
Yeah.
But just in another market, whatever money you throw at him, it's going to give you money back. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you next week.